Yo, what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back again, everybody. We're back with another fragrance review right here, guys, on my final day off. And today I will be talking about the latest Zaharoff fragrance. And I know there's like a couple of them, but this is the one that interested me the most because this seemed like a true departure from the usual Zaharoff fragrances, as I predicted on my last Zaharoff video. Anyways, I will be talking about this fragrance. I'll break it down for y'all. No hype, because of course a lot of people hyped it when it came out. So hope you guys are excited. Let's go. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys. Okay, liking, subscribing, and watching the ads is a great big deal to this channel as we head towards 25,000 subscribers. So please continue all your support, guys. Deep dive into my over 800 no hype videos. Share them around if you believe in the no hype movement, guys. All the no hype stuff, really objective reviews on all these fragrances coming out, so you know what to expect before you buy. Thank you so much for all your support. And the fragrance that we'll be talking about today is none other than the latest Zaharoff fragrance. This is none other than Zaharoff Precious Treasure. Yes, Zaharoff Precious Treasure from the Basileus Collection. This is the first one from the Basileus Collection, and Basileus means king in Greek, but obviously you can see that this whole Basileus Collection is a departure from the usual Zaharoff signature series, and that totally makes sense. Something that I predicted since way back, and I was saying that George, as a creative director, and whoever it is that's involved in the brand and the house, will eventually kind of make something that's not the easy, mainstream, lovable stuff that's in the signature series, and that they would make something kind of different, kind of exotic. And here we are with the Basileus Collection. And I'll even make an even bolder claim that eventually Zaharoff, the brand, will try to be like a Zaharoff down the line, where, you know, kind of like how Zaharoff is so successful is because they have everything for every customer. They have something for the oud lovers, they have something for those that like exotic perfumes, and they still have, you know, the mainstream base. And here at Zaharoff, the company has a strong mainstream base. The foundation for the company being successful is still gonna be the signature line, but this is a slight departure from that. Now, the other thing that got me interested here with Precious Treasure was the concept, and this fragrance was inspired by George's travels to Namibia, okay, which is from Africa. It's a part of Africa where a lot of people go there for safari and jungle expeditions and, you know, collecting exotic things. And, you know, this fragrance was inspired by that. And for me, the notes were interesting too. I mean, Zaharoff is known for putting in these exotic notes that were like, what is that? I wonder what that is. But they added a bunch of really interesting notes right here in this fragrance. Now, the cool part is when you buy an official sample is that you get something like this. And this is kind of like a cheat sheet because the notes online are actually not as expanded as this thing right here. This fragrance right here seems like it has some exotic notes and accords that I will discuss as I review this fragrance, that, like I said, they're not on the online version of the note breakdown right here. Now, the big question, of course, is what are we gonna get? Are we really going to get something truly exotic and different? Is this a true departure from the Zaharoff style of fragrances? Or is it going to be part mainstream? Is there going to be a compromise between something exotic and something that's, you know, more familiar to Zaharoff fans? That is what I will answer today. Can't wait to break this all down. Let's go spray this thing right now. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here. No hype, the latest Zaharoff Precious Treasure. All right, starting with this opening. And this opening is my favorite out of the entire fragrance, mid and dry down versus all of that. The opening right here is, to me, the most likable part. And the reason for that is because the opening right here feels like the one that's different but familiar. This one has a total compromise between both, but because this is the opening, this is your first impression into the fragrance, and you're buying this thinking it's going to be kind of different, well, there are some parts here that are kind of different. Let's look at the opening, guys. You're going to get Guatemalan cardamom. You're going to get Sichuan pepper. But the big thing right here is going to be your Timor pepper jungle essence. That's the big one right here. Why? Because it's an accord. It's actually a mix between kind of like pepper tree, pepper and woods. And the thing that's prominent here is kind of like your forest, jungle, vegetal, like right out of maybe a rainstorm type of smell that's coming right out here. It's kind of like a photorealistic jungle smell that goes in with the spices. And that is why I like this opening. It's really, to me, okay, mainstream okay, because they went with cardamom and Sichuan pepper and pepper. But it's kind of different because of that jungle accord, the green, jungly, foresty smells that, for me, like Arige Lidore and Saru, these are the guys that have been always doing that. But it's really great to see something like that in a Zaharoff. And it's not like super major. It's actually like a lingering smell that mixes in with mainstream likable elements. That to me, it was, I mean, as a fan of niche fragrances where there's something different, I would say that this intro knocks it out of the park. I like this intro right here. And because there are no instant thick warming elements here in the intro, this intro right here is more of like a spring forward type of intro. It's more of like a fresh, green, spicy intro that will make this fragrance, well, not only applicable now that it's kind of cold right here, but will be applicable even in the spring because of kind of like that lingering aromatic nature that's not necessarily warm. So that increases the versatility of this fragrance, and I'm glad they did that because, like I said, most of the fragrances that come out in this season, they're almost always going to be warm and spicy and all of that. This intro does not do it right here. And another thing to note about this intro is that the peppery nature actually lasts a while. Normally, the intros of most fragrances, the stage is maybe max of about 2 hours. But what I like about this fragrance right here is that this intro almost lasts up to 4 hours with the pepperiness. The jungly nature, maybe a couple of hours, but kind of like that woody, peppery nature of this fragrance lasts quite a while, giving you a longer coverage of the intro. So again, if you like the intro, such as myself, then you'll get a longer stage of it as well. Okay, now let's talk about initial sillage and projection on Zaharoff Precious Treasure. And this fragrance is a lingering draw-in scent, much like other Zaharoffs. But obviously, the opening part is going to be the strongest part of the fragrance. You're going to get a nice spicy aroma, draw-in facets. And the thing about Zaharoff, I mean, it's not weak, but it's not like strong either. It's not like a huge projector where you will actually conquer the room or even conquer like one area of a room. This one right here, much like other Zaharoff fragrances, I think that's why people like it, is kind of like personal, and at the same time, you can get people immediately in front of you, maybe 2 or 3 feet away. They can smell the fragrance, guys. And of course, you can always overspray this if you'd like. But to me, this is a lingering draw-in scent. Okay, now let's head into the mid of Zaharoff Precious Treasure. And to me, like I said, the mid comes in at kind of like the 4-hour mark, mixes in with elements of the intro, the pepperiness and woodsiness, and you've got a blend right here somewhere in the 4-hour mark of this fragrance. Now, here in the mid, guys, it's gonna be ambery resinous, it's gonna be olibanum incense, and it's gonna be woods, all right? Which is somewhat of, it's kind of like a bummer to me because it's like, oh, it went this way. Most fragrances in the fall winter usually go that way. And yeah, this one went this way. Now, one of the exotic elements right here of this fragrance is your Bushman's candle. And that was the first time I ever heard of that. Well, it turns out it's basically a resin giving a warm, resinous, ambery smell, which makes sense because it went with the olibanum pretty damn well here, as well as the cedar. Now, what's up with the freesia? What's up with the jasmine? I mean, these are just simple, sweet balancers into the mix, but nevertheless, the woodsiness from the initial part does carry on the mid Of course, you're going to get some resinous amber, some olibanum, some incense that goes with it. Add some body. And, this is the next part right here. So for those wearing this in, the fall or cooler nights, this mid right here is really the beginning of the comfortable, amber incense woods stage of this fragrance. I mean, I like it. There's nothing wrong with it. I assume a lot of people will. It's just pretty replicated right now with other fragrances doing the same thing. And let's go now into the dry down, which is basically a continuum from the mid, because like I said, you're gonna get woods, you're gonna get sweetness, you're gonna get some smokiness in the mid, and the dry down is pretty much an extension of that, maybe headed into fade to black because there's more musk in it, but basically same thing, same usual suspects. You're gonna get your tonka bean, you're gonna get your vanilla, you're gonna get your musk right here, some sandalwood, ebony wood, and what have you. But the problem with the dry down, guys, is by the time you get to the dry down, the performance of Zaharoff Precious Treasure drops. Okay, it does. And maybe you'll see other people saying the same thing online, where they kind of complained about the performance and longevity. Well, it's not that, it died or it got lost, like the actual scent disappeared, but it actually had a significant drop. And when you have a significant drop in the performance of the last part, well, it's not like you'll really get to smell all those notes. There's not a lot of note separation in the dry down, which is something that I kind of expected. I thought, oh, there's going to be a lot of notes here. There's even ambroxan here, right? Ambroxan and all those sweet notes and the woods. But guess what? I wasn't really able to smell all of them because they just smelled like a continuum of the mid. So you have all these notes, true, but I reckon you're not going to be able to really tell the difference. It's still going to be a sweet, like woody continuum, kind of like a fade to black gradient here into this dry down right here. And again, you will experience a drop in performance. Now, to be fair, this is already in the latter stage because the mid actually starts in the 4-hour mark. This dry down, I would say you can get to smell this at the 7-hour mark of the fragrance, guys. Now, I wished right here on this dry down that the multitude of notes on the base would translate into a more powerful base, maybe even rising to the top or the mid. But nah, it was actually weaker, more like, a continuum here in the dry down of Precious Treasure. Okay, so what do I think of this fragrance, Precious Treasure? All right, so again, this is something that I already kind of called it out that, they would make something that's more exotic, guys. But it's not like super exotic. Like I said, I feel like they are headed towards Zaharoff territory. I don't know if that's the goal or if they ever thought about that, like, hey, we want to be a Zaharoff. But I feel like they're headed there with the creation of this fragrance right here. Now, the thing is, most people that are on like their fan club or their fan group, they are mainstream guys. And most mainstream guys will go after the fragrance based on the opening mostly, not necessarily the dry down. And this fragrance right here puts up a really nice, like I said, I like it the most. They puts up a really good opening right here, which I reckon will get some positive feedback from those people that blind bought this fragrance. The opening, like I said, with that pepperiness, the jungle essence, the spiciness that isn't necessarily warm spicy is very, very versatile. It doesn't smell super exotic. It is something that I could wear really anytime, anywhere. And so I reckon a lot of people will like the intro part. Now, again, the thing is, when it heads towards the dry down, guys, there is that significant performance drop. And a lot of people will say, some of the Zaharoff fragrances have performance issues. They're not as strong as we'd like it to be. I think the strongest one was Tabak and the Tabak Leather for me. To me, it was like decent, but it could have been better. And, so we could really experience that dry down. And I would say that maybe for a neophyte or a newbie that hasn't smelled olibanum and amber, this would be a great experience because you get a continuum from mid to end. For somebody that's more experienced, maybe not. Maybe it's pretty predictable in the fall winter. But I would say for a new person, this would be pretty great because you still have kind of like a balance. It's not truly exotic because as you are smelling the incense, there's really a flanker part, where you have dry woods where you have resins, you have musk, you have vanilla, to kind of sweeten things up, guys, in the dry down or in the mid to dry down stages of this fragrance. Now, usage wise, for me, this fragrance, like I said, is pretty versatile because of that long intro that's not necessarily warm and spicy, but then of course you still have your olibanum woods and resins towards the mid and dry down, and that makes this a really good day and night perfume for cold or cool weather. And that's either, fall or spring nights, or really cool spring days and nights. And it's also okay in the winter, not necessarily like super cold winter. So I would say restricted to cool and cold scenarios. AC environments, perfect right here. And because Zaharoff isn't necessarily like a thick fragrance, all their fragrances are really not that thick, again, except for Tabak and maybe the Tabak leather one. This one right here feels like a nice lingering scent throughout that makes it, like I said, versatile even in casual environments all the way up to upscale grabber. There's an upscale nature here, the spiciness right here, the olibanum. This is like niche stuff, and that makes this fragrance wearable as an upscale grabber as well. Okay, now total performance of this fragrance to me was 11 hours, and you can still smell some remnants of the sweetness, tonka, vanilla, what have you. Actually, this dry down has some ambroxan, and that should have pushed it much stronger. I don't know why it did not, but to me it was about 11 hours. Not bad. And you can always overspray if you want more of the same. All right, so like I said, maybe if you guys are expecting Zaharoff fragrances to be these like strong projectors, trust me, none of them really are. A lot of them are really nice aromatic draw-in fragrances for the wearer and immediate people around that wearer, not necessarily like a room conqueror or a room nuclear bomb. That's not going to happen with Zaharoff, at least not like right now. So that is something to expect with this fragrance. And finally, guys, let's look into the cost of this fragrance. Now, I know when this came out, a lot of y'all hype beasts were probably like, add to cart, check out, and then you saw the price and you were like, oh holy shiz, this is like a car payment. $295, guys. All right, but I will say this, it's not just the usual 100 ml bottle, it's 120 mls big boy bottle on this one for that price, guys. So there's a lot of juice if you actually like this and you want to wear this a lot. Signature scent, upscale grabber, what have you, you're gonna have a lot of juice for that $295. Unfortunately, it's competitive at that price. $295, man. If you go, with discounters and what have you, you can use that money and buy a lot of really good niche that used to be like $500, $600. So it's very competitive. So I implore you guys to get a couple samples of this, the Zaharoff Precious Treasure bundle, and drench yourselves. Wear this a lot. Overspray it if you have to, so you can see what a lot of sprays feels like or smells like all throughout the day, if this is something you can actually wear. Now, like I said, there are a lot of elements here that are pretty niche, and so I would say some niche heads would consider this fragrance as a full bottle worthy fragrance. But nevertheless, try it first. I think that it's going to be likable. I think that it's going to be versatile. I think that it's not a true departure from the usual Zaharoff business, because really there's still a lot of likable mainstream elements in this one. They didn't truly do a 180 on this one. So try it first, guys, before you buy. And that is it. That is my no hype review on the latest Zaharoff fragrance, Precious Treasure. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance. If y'all tried it, you blind buy it, were you absolutely stunned by this fragrance? Did you like the usage of the fragrance? Let me know on the comments below. And kudos to them for actually risking it yet again and going another direction, coming up with this Basileus collection. And hopefully this is not the last. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to make the sales that they want, but if it doesn't, hopefully that doesn't deter the Zaharoff team from creating even more exotic stuff, because really this whole fragrance game is really diversified and there's a lot of people that like this kind of stuff. But to me, not a true departure. Even old school Zaharoff heads will still, I think, like this one because of the spiciness, the greens, and of course your classic amber incense. Let me know in the comments below again what y'all think of this fragrance, and I will see you guys on the next video. video. I'm kind of torn between what to review next. So please make sure to join the polls on the YouTube channel to give me, kind of like direction on what to do first, because there's a lot really. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. God bless. Take care. Peace.